My dream was to go to the USC medical school, get married, raise a family, and practice medicine in Los Angeles. Medicine was considered the pinnacle of virtually everything in my life. My family, my teachers, my girlfriend wanted me to be a doctor. Over time, their dreams became my dreams. They convinced me I should be a doctor. But as hard as I tried, I couldn't. After a few difficult and unhappy years of the pre-med, I became painfully clear to that I did not like the course I worked, and I just could not make myself study something that didn't interest me, so I decided to stop trying. I was 21 years old when I dropped out of college. I packed everything I wanted: jeans, t-shirt, leather jacket, guitar into my car, and drove from Chicago to Berkeley, California. My family was still mad at me for not going to medical school, and now my wife was divorced because I lacked the ambitions. Once again, I was unable to live up to expectations of others. Their dreams and my dreams were different. I could never confuse the two of them again, the skills and I scared. But I just could not find a software engineer. So I tried to create one. That way I could completely control my work environment. I would hire the most talented programmer I knew, and my goal was to create the perfect job for me. A job I truly. I never expected the company to grow beyond 50 people, so maybe I really did lack ambition or vision back then. I don't know, it was a long time ago. And I was very young anyway. Anyway, today Oracle employees are around 150,000 people, but when I started, I was not my intention to build a big company. What happened? First, hired the most talented software engineer in Silicon Valley. That team was one crazy idea. Gave birth to against company. I called it a crazy idea because at the time everyone told me it was a crazy idea. The idea was to build the world's first relation database. Several theoretically had already been published. The collective wisdom of computer experts was that relation database could be built. They would never be fast enough to the useful. I thought all those so-called computer experts were wrong. And when you start telling people that all the experts are wrong, at first they call you a legend and you're crazy. When people start telling you that you're crazy, you just be on to most important innovation in your life. Of course, the other possibility is you're crazy. This is one of those times when the Oracle doubled its size year after year after year for 10 years. I had set out to create the perfect programming job for me. I attempted that I can't completely control. Instead, I was learning a company with thousands that was growing so fast that it was impossible for any to control, sailing in a hurricane, and then we went public. Oh my God, or maybe I should have been. I worked all the time and nobody ever accused me of wrecking. Now I would like to tell you one last story about myself. A guy who had lost a place and thought me important. My 30 years friend with Steve Jobs was made up of. If there was something he would go for work, Steve was pacing and loneliness. The computer company he founded after he left Apple was in severe distress. He had gone during the 10 years of Steve advance. The problem was now so serious. People were wondering if Apple would survive. It was all too faint to watch his standby, and so the purpose of that particular hike on that particular day was to discuss taking over Apple Computer. My idea was simple. Buy Apple and immediately made Steve CEO. Apple wasn't worth much back then, about $5 billion. All Steve had to do was say yes. Steve proposed a somehow more circus. First, persuaded Apple to buy next computer. Then Steve would join the Apple hub, and over time the board would recognize that Steve was like the guy to lead the computer. I said, okay, that might work. But Steve, if we done by Apple, how are we going to make any more? Suddenly Steve started working and turned toward me. We were when he put his his right hand on my left shoulder, staring obliquely into my eyes. Steve said, "Really, this is why it's so important that I'm your friend. You don't need any more money." I said, "Yeah, I know. I was winning." Steve Jobs shook his hand. "I'm not doing this for the money. I don't want to get paid. If I do, I need to do this standing on the more high ground." I said, "Well, that just might be the most expensive real estate on Wars." But I knew I lost the argument. Steve made up his mind. "I'll do however I went on the Apple board, and then I watched Steve build the most valuable company on earth. The lesson, Steve was right. After a certain point, I can't be. So why did Steve go back to Apple? Why did he devote so much of what remains of his life to his job? I believe the answer is that deep inside of all of us. That's the primal desire to do something important with our, and proud to say there are only two things important in life, love and work. He did not say love and work were the same things. I'm passionate about myself. It continues to give me credit in a sense of who I am, but passion and love are different. At least for me they are. I love my family. A few previous fans forecast to though my feeling about work are very intense. But the TV advertisement for the United is not just a job, it's an adventure. That's exactly how I feel about my ears. But today, graduates, you are beginning your great adventure. Your generation will change the world as every generation does. Impossibility will be transformed into possible, and the unexpected opportunity will present themselves. You will change the world, and the world will change you as you learn and grow and discover more about yourself. Remember this, graduates. In the constantly changing world, what is possible is a moving target. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try lots of different, and don't let when you challenge the status quo. Each of you has the chance to discover who you are, rather than who you are. A chance to live your dream, not the dreams of others. Soon, many of you will begin a new job. I hope it interests you and challenges you and rewards you with a sense of purpose and satisfaction. But if it doesn't, keep searching. It's out there. It might take a while, but keeping searching until you find a job that ignites you like I did. Thank you and graduations. Let me tell you a secret no one does when they begin. Ideas don't come out fully formed. They only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. If I had known everything about before I got started, I never would have built Facebook. You have to trust in something, your God, destiny, life, karma. because believing that the thought will give you the confidence to even when it leads you, and that will make gold. J.K. Rowling got rejected 12 times before she finally wrote. Even Beyonce had to make hundreds of songs to get her Hello. The greatest successes come from having the freedom to fail. Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose your life. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me, you've got to find one you love, and that is true for your work as is for your love. Your work is going to feel like the only way to be truly satisfied is to do, and the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, it doesn't settle. Today is you can be very fighting. It's a mean worlds out there. You only live one. So the one you feel passionate about, don't be afraid to fail. Dream big, but remember, dreams without goal are just dreams, and they ultimate fuel disappointment. And so have dreams, but have goals, life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day and understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. Discipline. In order to achieve, you must apply discipline which you earn the consistency every day. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan it every day. Remembering that I will in the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make it, because almost everything, all external expectation, all pride, all fear of embarrassing, these things just fall away in the face of death living. Remember, then you are going to die is the best way I know. You avoid the trip of thinking you have something. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow. Anyone working on the big vision is going to, even if you earn the right in our society. We often don't take it because we are so afraid of making mistakes that we ignore if we do nothing. The reality is anything we do today is going to have some issue, but that can't stop us. So what hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. Yeah, you can learn and play all the time. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is a destination we all share. No one has ever. And that is because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It is life change. It clear out the old to make way. Right now the new is you, but someday not too long from now you will graduate, become the old end. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it is quite true. Your time is limited. You don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by drama which is living with the result of other people's. Don't let the noise of others' opinion drown. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart. They somehow always know when you try what to become. Everything else is secondary. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish. Thank you all very much. Looking back, I think that's when I begin to worry about what other people threw of me and stopped daydreaming. Instead, I just tried to jam myself into the most that other people made. Soon I began to shut out my work and started to listen to the voice of others. Some people might not, but most people thought we were hopeless. And sometimes I just wanted to quit. But I think I was very quickly that I didn't give it all up. And I'm sure that we will keep stumbling and falling like this. And maybe I made a mistake yesterday. But yesterday's me is still me. Today I am who I am with all of my faults and my mistakes. Tomorrow I might be a teeny bit wiser, and that will be me too. These faults and mistakes are what I am making up the brightest stars in the constellation of my life. I have come to love myself for who I am, for who I was, and for who I hope to become. Like most people, I've made many and plenty mistakes in my life. I have many faults and I have many more fears. But I'm going to embrace, and I'm starting to love myself, graduate just little by little. Now fear is going to be a flail in your life, but you get to decide how much. You could spend your whole life imagining or worrying about the best way to what all they will ever be what's happening here. In the decision we make in this, which are based in either love or so many of us chase disguise as practically. My father could have been great, but he didn't believe that once, and so he made instead he got a safe job as an accountant. And when he was 12 years old, he was let go. And our family had to do whatever we could. I learned many great lessons, not the least of which was then you can, so you might as well take a chance on doing one. When I was about 28, after a decade, I realized one night, the purpose of my life has always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. My choosing to free people from, look where I am, and don't worry if you miss your cue. That keep and when I say when doesn't happen, it happened for you. I really don't know if that's true. I am just making a conscious to persuade challenges as something that I can deal with them in the most. You will come up with your that's part of the fun. And why not take a chance on faith as well? Take a chance on faith, not religion, but faith, not hope, but faith. You are already unable to do beautiful things in this world. And after you work through those, you will only ever have two choices, love and fear. Love and fear. Choose love. And don't ever let fear turn you against your playful. Thank you so much. I'm so honored. I'm so honored. But at the end of the day, the circumstance of your life, where you come from, how much money, one you got going, none of that is no excuse for not trying. I've given a lot of speech, and I've talked about responsibility a lot. I've talked about teachers' responsibility. For inspiring students and forcing you, I've talked about your parents' responsibility. For making sure you stay on track and don't spend every working hour in front of TV or with the experts. I've talked a lot about your government responsibility for setting high standard and turning around school that where students aren't getting the appointment of. Yes, but at the end of the day, we can have the most support, the best school in the world, and none of it will make a difference. None of it. unless all of you fulfill your responsibilities, unless you show up to those school, unless you pay attention to those, unless you listen to your parents and grandparents and you put in hard work it takes to success. That's what I want to, the responsibility of you has for your education. I want to start with the responsibility you have to yourself. Every single one of you has something than you. Every single one of you has something to, and you have responsibility to yourself to discover one thing. That's the opportunity on education can provide. Maybe you could be a great writer. Maybe you're even good enough to write a book or article, but you might, maybe you could be an inventor. Maybe even good enough to come up with the next iPhone or new medicine, but you might not know it until you do a project. Maybe you could be a major or a senator, but you might not know that until you join student government. And no matter what you want, I graduate, then you will need the education. I want to be a doctor or a teacher. You want to be a nurse or an architect or lawyer. You are going to need a good education for every single one. You cannot drop out of school and just drop into a good job. You got to train for it and work for it and learn it. And this isn't just important for you. What you make of your education will decide nothing less than the future of America depends on you. What's your learning? Or whether you as a nation can meet our greatest, you will need the knowledge and problem-solving skill you learn in the cure disease and to develop new energy technology. You will need the insight and critical thinking skill you gain in history. The fight to poverty and homelessness and make our nation more fair, and you will need the creativity and ingenuity to build new companies that will create. You need every single one of you to develop your talent and you, so you can help us all folk solve our most different problems. If you don't do that, if you quit on school, you are not just quit. You are quitting. If I don't was easy. I know around you have challenges in you that can make it hard. I know what is. My father left my family when, and I was raised by. I had to work and who's training, and wasn't always able to give us the thinking. There were times when I missed having a father didn't fit in. So I wasn't always as focused as I said, and I did some things, and I got in more trouble than I should, and my life could have easily taken a turn, but I was lucky. I got a lot of, and I had an opportunity to go to college and law school. My wife, our first lady, Michelle Robert, and they have both worked hard that she could go to the best. Some of you might not have. Maybe you don't have adult in your life who give you. Maybe someone in your family, and there's not. Maybe you live in a neighborhood or have friends who are pressuring. The circumstance of your life when you look me, where you come from, how much money, when you got. None of that is for neglecting. That's no excuse. For talking back to you, teacher, or quitting, there's no excuse for not trying. Where you are right now doesn't have to determine. No one's written it because here in America, you write it. You make your own. That's what young people like you are doing. Young people like Jasmine. Jasmine didn't speak English when she first started, neither of her parents, but she worked hard. He and got scholarship to Brown University, is now in studying public health on her way to become Dr. Jasmine Perez. I'm thinking about Anthony Scott from Los Altos, whose fourth rank. He's had to endure all sorts of treatment, and so it took him much longer, hundreds of but he never fell behind. He's headed to, and then there's Stanton Steve. Even when bouncing from foster home to foster home in the she managed to get a job and local start a program to kids young, and she only tracked to graduate high school. And Jasmine, Anthony, and Chantel, and they face a challenge in their lives. In some cases, they got, but they refuse. They choose to take responsibility for their life, for their and set goal. And I expect all of you. That's why today I'm calling on each of you to send you and do everything you can, whatever you resolve to do. I want you to really work at it. I know that sometimes you get that sense from TV that you can be rich. Then you get to success is through rapping or basketball or being a chance are you not going. The truth is being successful is hard. You want to love every subject, then you study. You want to click with every teacher, then you. Not every homework assignment will seem completely relevant to you, and you want to necessarily succeed at everything. That's okay. Some of the most successful people in the world are the ones J.K. Rowling who wrote Harry Potter. Her first Harry Potter book was rejected 20 times. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school. He lost hundreds of games and missed. But I have failed over and over again in my life, and that's why. Because they understood that you can learn. I have to let your failure teach you. You have to let them show you what to do. So if you get into trouble, that doesn't mean you need to try harder to act right. Yes, that doesn't. It doesn't mean you need to spend. No one's born building good at all. You're being good at things. You're not the varsity. You don't hit every note, though. You've got to practice. The same principle applies to, you might have to do math problem you might have to read something a few times before you definitely have to. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask for help. How to do that every day? Asking for help is a sign, because it shows that you have the courses and allow you and find another than your trust or parents or grandfather or coach or counselor, and ask them to help you stay on track to meet, and even when you feel like other people have given up. Don't ever give up on yourself, because when you give up on yourself, the story of America isn't about people. It's about people who loved their country too much. It's the story of who said when you sit 250 and went on the wage. Young people, students who said when you sit, who overcome and won the World War. A footman, student who said their series, founded Google and Twitter and changed the way. So today I want to, what problem are you going to solve? What is going to really make? So I expect all of you get success this year. It's very important to everything to you. I expect great things from each of you. So don't let your family down, or you. Most of all, don't let yourself down. Make us all proud. Thank you very much. God bless America. God bless you. God bless America.